gonna delete that last video. I left the last video on a bad note, on a sad note, non-happy note. And I'm sorry about that. It's just been on my mind a lot because, well, I already said in that last video, so I don't have to say it again. I do think about this stuff. I do think about your responsibility to the people around you and the community you live in. That's why my parents brought me up. It is something I really start thinking about in situations like this, where I find myself more and more seeing that there's the rise of the malcontent in society, the rise of the I don't care about anybody else except for me and what I want today. There's no forethought for tomorrow. There's no forethought about or thought put into other people and what they're going through and what they're experiencing. It's just about the me generation, where they don't consider the massive ramifications of their actions where anybody else is concerned or where future is concerned. And it's very noticeable just driving on the road. It's absolutely very noticeable. People who would in the 70s and 80s be very cordial or safe drivers, and I mean there's accidents all the time, but I found that driving in the 80s when I got my license, it was a lot easier to drive around town and a lot easier and nicer to drive on highways because people were considerate and let you in, blah, blah, blah. Merging was a lot easier and safer. I found that lately, like nobody lets people in on the merge lane. And even the people on the merge lane, which drives me crazy, they go flying past everybody and straight to the end of the lane and then merge either at the last second or even after they've crossed the solid white line. They merge well after that if there's any kind of traffic delays, which causes more traffic delays. So it is me first, screw everybody else. I want mine, screw you, you can't have yours. I do find that. And so this is, and it's exacerbated by the fact that more and more people do it. They're using merge lanes as passing lanes. So it is, I won't say frustrating because it's just, but the status quo window of this is where driving used to be, and driving is like bad, good, and this is where driving used to be and whatever. And I see it more and more moving this way to the bad side. Not everybody, not 90% of the people, but there are more people now than there was 20 years ago who are taking advantage of the rest of us following traffic laws, and they don't believe they have to, and they get ahead by not following traffic laws, like using merging on and off ramps as passing lanes, like waiting to the last possible second to cut in, by zipping in. Like it did happen before. I remember it happening before. Like I was with this car moving in and out of traffic across lanes. But it was never as prevalent as it is now. Again, the stat that I read a bunch of years ago, there's 10 million licensed vehicles in Ontario right now, or whatever. I read that stat a couple of years back. 10 million licensed vehicles on our roadways, possibly, or they're licensed, they're plated and stuff. So of course there's going to be cars and people. But for me, it seems to be a ramping up to more and more people are breaking traffic regulations just to get ahead of everybody else. It's like, it was really funny, like, and this is just parenthetical. My dad was over here with his wife, died today, for Father's Day. We're celebrating early because Dad and I are busy next weekend. So we had him over here for dinner. And Diane was talking to my dad about, or saying to us the story that her and Dad were were parking in the parking lot the other day, and to get into the store to get something, maybe Tim Hortons, whatever. I can't remember what it was. A bank machine. They're going to the bank machine. And so they pull into the parking lot and they're backing into the space, and the windows are down. and a truck comes flying in and parks right beside him, and the wife in the other truck says, "Hurry up, honey, get out of the vehicle before these two next to us, because they'll beat you to the machine." And like, really, like you have to, like, the fact that he even voiced that, "Hurry up, honey," like, Dad and I are just parking in the parking lot and getting out of the car, and all of a sudden you hear from next door, "Hurry up, get out of the car before run to the bank to get there before these two." So you get your beeping done first and get the money out of the bank account before these guys do. I'm going, it's like, I shake my head at that. Like, if people do not have the patience to, like, I know it's first come first serve and all that stuff, but the fact that you had to say that, even though you're second one to, like, and this is again the escalation of me first and screw everybody else. Malcontent. See, that's where malcontent comes from. Just for those who want to know where malcontent. Screw everybody else. I got mine, or I want mine, and I don't care about what happens to you at all. So, but that was just a small little textbook example, and it makes me just wonder where people's heads are, and I do find myself more and more wishing that I had 50 acres up in back there, Waynefleet somewhere, and just plop my house in the middle and just, go to the grocery store every other month and just like stay here on the internet, but just leave the rat race behind. And of course, people have been talking about leaving the rat race behind since I've been a kid. Like, it's been a discussion since I remember being very, very young about leaving the rat race. I mean, that's where the whole term comes from, way back then. So it's not the first time this stuff's been pontificated on. But it does get, at this point, very, very abundantly clear that I think we're in trouble. I really do think we're in trouble. I think we're in trouble because people, again, I grew up in a family that took everybody else's social needs as something that we have to work on. Very, very civilly oriented, socially oriented, volunteering for everything, showing up at the various events and whatever. It's what my parents did all the time. And of course, I saw that all the time. I mentioned stories about that. But more and more, there's, here's a West Wing quote, more and more we're coming to expect less and less from each other. He said it in Sports Night, and he said it in the West Wing. Aaron Sorkin wrote it into both scripts. That's great. More and more we are coming to expect less and less from each other. And I grew up in a family where it was like the expectation was you step up for society. Whatever society needs, you're going to be helping with that. Whether it's a food drive or a church event or a scouting thing, whatever, and you are going to volunteer. It's voluntold, as we used to call it. But that seems to be blasé now. It's just like every person for themselves. And what can I get out of this? I want to get home faster than everybody else. So I'm going to cut off people in traffic. I'm going to wait till the last second to merge in. I'm not going to let other people in that are trying to get into the traffic. And it's like, how do you combat that? Like, really? Also, on top of which, and I'm not blaming them at all, but the police services are inundated. There's not enough police. I think I wouldn't even get into defund the police. Like, it's just the most ludicrously stupid thing I've ever heard. But there are bad characters everywhere, and yes, the police is one of them. But I'm not going to go down that path. There's not enough people. There's not enough police people to patrol all this stuff and to slow down the malcontents and to stop the not nuisance but threats and whatever on people's lives by being bad drivers. There isn't enough out there, and then we make society to the point where we had to get rid of photo radar because it was an invasion of my privacy. Well, not really, but beyond that. So how do we stop these people from stopping traffic so they can get five cars ahead, kind of thing? I have a tough time with this because I drive it every day. But overall, I started thinking about this stuff. I really do. And And it's not a victimless crime, and people keep on saying it is. And that's why I was getting into my last video that I just stopped because it was just going right off the rails, as this one is, apparently. Um, I believe I read the Highway Traffic Act, HTA for Ontario. I read the whole thing. I don't remember most of it, but I didn't see anything in there that was untowards or blatantly glaring at me that it should be removed. But there are things that can be mended, and I mentioned this too, as to people who kept on yapping about the 100 kilometers an hour being too slow in the highways. You can amend the Highway Traffic Act. You get enough signatures together from the private people, the citizens of your Ontario, and you bring it to whatever. I don't think you have to bring it to Toronto or whatever, but you can get the highway track amended if you bring the evidence, and it has happened in the past. You will notice on the 400 series highways, there are now let's just go backwards. When I was a kid, we were still miles per hour. I didn't drive at the time, but I saw on the side of the highway when we were driving wherever that it was 70 miles an hour. And as everybody here knows, 70 miles an hour is not 100 kilometers an hour. 60 miles an hour is 100 kilometers an hour. So if the speed limit on our highways overall was 70 miles an hour back before the gas crisis, the mid 70s, that's like 115 kilometers an hour, maybe 120, but 115. But the gas crisis happened in the mid 70s. OPEC, and I was a kid, but whatever. But also we also went metric at the same time. So when we went to metric, all the highways became 100 max in Canada or Ontario. So we reduced the speed limit at that point, and that was to conserve gas, because it is a statistically and scientifically based conclusion that if any kilometer over 100 kilometers an hour, you're wasting more gas because of the air resistance on the vehicle. You will waste more gas driving faster, because the air, you're pushing more harder against the air. This is like, if you go into the space program, the biggest module of the Saturn V rocket, the bottom rock, wasn't sort of for gravity, but it was to push all that weight through the air. It had to beat that's why the other ones were smaller, because there's less air up there, so you don't have to push as hard. So they figured out the 100 kilometers an hour is a good zen zone for gas mileage and going the speed that you want to go in. Anything above 100, you're wasting like exponentially more gas to get to the same destination. So scientists worked on this. So 100 kilometers an hour. But so that went on for a long time. But now cars are more fuel efficient. Absolutely, 100% more fuel efficient and better built and blah, blah. And so in the past 5 or 7 years, they've created a pilot program in various sections of the highway where it's engineeringly appropriate to do so. They changed the speed limits on the 400 series highway, including the QEW, which is a 400 series highway, by the way, to 110. And it just recently, I think last year, they even expanded the 110 zones along the highways. Now, I think that's fantastic. So the HTA was amended. The speed was changed on our 400 series highways in my lifetime. So it can be done. So if people have a problem and they think 110 is too slow, bring the evidence. They do change this stuff. Bring the evidence and convince the powers that be that the speed limit should be 120. So, but it's not right now. But that's a whole other story. So I all this to say, I think about this. I think a lot about this stuff, and I get into some discussions with people who only want their personal pleasure and wants and desires to trump literally everything else. That guy the other night, road rage incident. Sorry, I was going to back that up because I think that I said in this last video, not this one. I will amend the story. There was not 2 pickup trucks goofing around or road raging with each other. One pickup truck was completely innocent of everything, and he was just in the lane, and the other pickup truck that was the malcontent and the road rage guy clipped him. he was trying to pass, so he was deking in and out of traffic and gunned it and clipped the back end of the other pickup truck, and the other pickup truck spun up. So, which that event led to the deaths of 2 people. So there wasn't 2 drivers that were bad. There was only 1 driver that was bad, and he caused the mayhem that ended up killing 2 people. I don't know what the status. I know he's been caught. I don't know court dates and whatever. I don't know whatever. But because of his childish temper tantrum of not getting to his destination 10 seconds earlier, 10 seconds quicker, that he was road raging against other people on the road, 2 people are dead. And this is what honestly bothers me. That somebody's personal ego, somebody's childish temper tantrum, somebody's malfeasant personality, that he wasn't able to pass traffic that he wanted to pass so badly that he had to do whatever he did, deking it out and clip the back of the pickup truck, which caused the death of 2 people. So I have no idea if that person feels guilty or not. I have no idea. I don't know the person. I don't. But his antics, his malfeasant antics, his childish temper tantrum, limitless ego, limited intellect tantrum led to the death of 2 people. And that sincerely bothers me. I don't know who these people are. I think I remember the last name from my high school, but I don't know if it's the same people. I mean, there's a lot of the same name in the area. I don't know. I may have known them. I don't know. All I know is that they're dead. And they left 2 daughters behind. Now, the old daughters, I was told, they're 19 and older. But still, they lost their parents one night because of the deliberate actions of an abject malcontent. And that never ever in the history of me has ever sat well with me. And I can trace a lot of that back to being 8 years old and losing a pillar of our society due to a drunk driver who, again, malcontent and racing somebody on the highway and losing control of the car and killing our cousin's cousin, which was big back when I was 8 years old for our church and our community and my family. It was big. And every time something like this happens, I am reminded of that. And I'm reminded of this now. I'll never forget this accident that happened 2 days ago. I'll never forget that. Because it's just wasted life. Because somebody couldn't control themselves emotionally. Somebody could not control themselves emotionally behind the wheel of a over 1 ton weapon at that point, could not control themselves. And that kind of thing really sets me back a bit in my head, where I say, what could anything possibly do in my life? What could possibly happen in my life where I would not be able to control my emotions and that would bing, bang, boom, somebody's dead? I just have a tough time understanding the depravity or the abject stupidity of a person who allows a situation, a normal situation. Traffic is normal, by the way. Just in case you didn't know, there's 10 million vehicles on the roads right now in Ontario. 10 million licensed vehicles. Traffic happens. Even at 1 o'clock in the morning, traffic happens. You have to wait your turn. Traffic happens. And you don't like that? And so 2 people are dead? I don't like a lot of things. I don't like a great many things on this planet. I am not going to let that cascade into people dying. I have said that if I was a politician, I'll never be a politician. If I was running on a platform of anything, I'm a social justice. Give people a second chance. I'm all for the flower powers and all that stuff. I'm anti-capital punishment. 100% anti-capital, or 99.9999% against capital punishment. But but I'm also not one of these revolving door. Something has to happen. Something has to. I don't. It's not the punishment, because these kids don't care about that. I don't know what these kids are doing, but they don't care about getting caught. They don't care. It's a revolving door. But even if this guy gets locked up for 20 years, he doesn't care. He didn't care that this happened, or it wouldn't have happened. I'm going to say that as clearly as possible. Like, I believe that people can redeem themselves. I believe that people can grow up and mature, because I was stupid when I was 20. I wouldn't have done this when I was 20, but I was stupid when I was 20, 21, younger. But he didn't care. He only cared about himself in that situation, to get past the vehicles that were blocking him from going wherever he was going, to get there 10 seconds faster. Like, it was a vacuous, useless death that didn't have to happen. And as I say, that's never sat well with me. And yeah, so I think about it. And sorry that I'm wasting more time talking about it. So you guys are my therapy. Just a heads up, you guys are my therapy. I'm going to stop this video now, 21 minutes into it, because I think I've said enough. I am going to post this one, but it is therapy for me to get it off my chest out there to the world. And I'm going to maybe make another video. What time is it? 12:30. I'm going to try to make one more video before I go to bed, which I'm going to try to make it a little happier, but might be interesting. So talk to you.